Almost a quarter of all calls made to Centrelink last year went unanswered. The National Audit Office has found customers wait for an average of 17 minutes to speak to a Centrelink officer. The report estimated that of the 43 million calls made during the last financial year, about 13 million were simply abandoned. The Community and Public Sector Union says because of that report, hundreds of staff members who usually process payments have today been moved onto the phone lines. National Secretary Nadine told me that vulnerable people are missing out on help because of the delays. Nadine, thanks so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
17 minutes on average, is that too long for people to be waiting?
Well, it is too long, and that's just the calls that get through. 26 million calls to Centrelink last year, didn't even get an answer.
OK, Nadine, why is this happening in your view?
Well, Centrelink Medicare and Child Support are part of a department that's been cut too much. It started under the previous government, it's got worse now. They've lost 5,000 staff, but they have 3 million extra calls a year to answer.
And in that time also huge changes to, say, disability support, to New Start allowances and some such. Presumably a lot of people calling in needing information about how their circumstances might have changed.
Look, the demand is growing as government payments change, and these are complex payments that people need advice on. They need to talk to a real human. OK,
because a lot has been spoken about the online aspect of Centrelink, people saying, well, they can do certain things online but not others. Is the online aspect at all a plausible kind of option in this case, or do human beings need to be the total frontline officers in this case?
Well, look, there is a role for online services, and of course the world is going online, but these are complex government payments. They involve sensitive issues, particularly in areas like Medicare and child support, and people need advice from a well-trained professional staff member.
OK, so the Minister for Human Services, Senator Payne, has said today that Centrelink will be shifting the way in which it takes calls. There'll be new technology implemented. Is that enough? Is new technology enough, or do you need more humans to be running that technology?
Look, the ANA report is clear. To do this work properly, you need more staff, more permanent staff to actually do the work. Pretending that just upgrading computers is going to fix it is just not reasonable. OK,
so what do you think should be done in the immediate term? There won't be 5,000 staff, I presume, suddenly hired. What needs to happen so that people who are calling get some sense that their calls are at least being heard?
Well, look, government could put measures on board. They've brought in temporary casual staff. They need to make those staff permanent and train them properly. At the moment, they're just answering a call that they're not trained to actually resolve, so people just go back in the queues. They certainly could do something on that, but they do need to put some more money in.
Nadine, have you had any people who actually work at Centrelink talking to you about the potential stress that they're under? I presume that if someone's been waiting, I think one caller said they've been waiting for 90 minutes, the person receiving that call isn't going to be having a great conversation, I'd imagine. Pretty stressful circumstances for people working there as well.
Well, this is tough for clients, but it's very tough on staff. Last year we had almost 7,000 incidents of customer abuse or aggression because people were so frustrated by waiting. And in 700 of those cases, police were called to the in-face service centres. Now, often that's people who've waited on the phone, then gone to the office, they still can't get help. OK,
Nadine Flood, thanks so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
And the General Manager of the Department of Human Services at Centrelink, Hank Yongan, joins me now from Canberra. Hank, thanks so much for your time this afternoon.
It's a real pleasure, thank you.
Let's just talk firstly about those waiting times. Is 17 minutes too long in your view?
Well, look, the reality is that we are meeting the KPIs that have been set for us. And I think we also need to reflect on the fact that we operate a massively complex system. We successfully manage 57 million calls a year. That's 220,000 calls a day.
Does that complex system need to be simplified in any way so that people can be expedited through the system faster?
The system certainly needs simplification, not only in terms of the technology that the government has agreed to fund us for, and in fact that will make dramatic differences to the way in which we deliver our services, but the government's also indicated that it's looking at simplifying the policy agenda, and if it's successful in achieving that, simpler policy also means simpler systems.
Hank, I'd like just to go back to the KPIs. How are those KPIs evaluated? Where do you get the figures and numbers from? Do you evaluate against other social sort of services, call centres around the world, or what makes 16 minutes an okay time for someone to wait?
Well, 16 minutes is the agreed KPI that we work to. But if you look at the ANAO audit, you'll find that the auditor also says that there is no other system, call centre system, like Centrelink's in the country. We handle extremely complex issues. We deal with the intimate details of our customers. We have to obtain a range of information. But the thing that really frustrates us, and I think it's symptomatic of the antique systems that we're working on, is that 25% of callers are people that are just ringing up to find out about the progress of their claim, and then there's another significant proportion that are just ringing us for routine reasons like changes of address, updating their income, when they can use the alternatives that we have available. We've invested a lot of money in providing online services and smartphone apps, which enable people to engage with us directly. And unfortunately, because people aren't choosing to use these alternatives, it's a cost to the taxpayer as well as a cost to the individual.
In terms of those online services, some commentary today from people who've tried to use them said they actually did try to update their details. It didn't go through properly, and even when it did, it didn't actually activate through the whole system because they're through Medicare and disability services and some such. There wasn't a communication across the network, and other people said, well, I'm disabled, I can't really see the screen properly, I don't use a phone. So there has to be some level of human interaction on those fronts, surely.
Of course, and we're the first to admit that. For complex issues, particularly for the sorts of issues that many of our customers deal with us in relation to, there is a need to be able to deal with this over the phone. But the reality is that last year alone, 59 million transactions were conducted online and 36 million transactions were done through smartphones. If we can get more people to embrace the alternatives available to them, it means that our staff are there to deal with those much more complex inquiries.
Hank Yonkin, just put us in the shoes of a Centrelink worker who's having to take a call, someone who's been potentially on hold for 90 minutes. It's an extremely stressful situation for them, clearly. You've had thousands of job cuts as well. How much is that affecting your staff? Do they feel equipped to deal with the people who are waiting for a long time? And what is Centrelink doing to kind of restore confidence in the staff that they can manage their jobs without that abuse that we've heard does happen there?
Well, look, of course, our staff are our number one priority. And of course, and the other point I need to make is that incidents of customer aggression are not tolerated by us. It's something that we encourage our staff to report. We respond immediately and effectively to any incidents of customer aggression. But I have to say, there's no link between call wait times and customer aggression. I actually think that the reality is that issues of customer aggression are just symptomatic of increased aggression across the whole of society. I mean, these days we even hear of ambulance drivers and police that are being subjected to the sort of aggression that, on an increasing scale.
OK, Hank Yonkin, Centrelink Human Services General Manager, thanks so much for your time this afternoon.
A real pleasure, thank you.